Good evening and welcome to UMass Boston here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I am John Scooters getting you set for the start of the UMass Boston Beacons lacrosse team taking on the Castleton University Spartans. It's been a tough go this season for UMass Boston, 1-8 overall, 0-1 in the LEC. Likewise for Castleton, it has not been much better. The Spartans just 2-7 with an 0-2 mark in Little East Conference play. Something's got to give today as the Beacons come in having lost 6 consecutive affairs, and most of them have not been very close. They've lost such battles as a 20-goal loss to Nazareth, a 17-goal loss to Trinity, a 14-goal loss to Keene State, and a 12-goal loss to Merchant Marine. However, Castleton, as I said, has not been having much more luck, though many of their losses have been close. In fact, they've lost 3 consecutive games by 3 combined goals, 3 straight one-goal losses to Dartmouth, Sage, and Salem State. Let's take a look at the season statistics for both of these clubs coming into play. For Castleton, averaging 7.67 goals per game. Beacons right at the 7-goal-per-game mark. Goals against, it's been a real trouble defensively for the Beacons. They are giving up over 16 goals per game compared to just 8.67 for the Spartans. Both teams averaging over 30 shots per game. And when you look at the man-up percentage, much more impressive for Castleton. They'll look to take advantage of that today if they're going to come away with their first Little East Conference victory of the season. One player that has really had to step up this year has been Cameron Dixon, the senior netminder from Wayland, Massachusetts. The Beacons netminder in 9 games so far this year has a 15.86 goals against average. He's made 161 saves, good for a 54.2 save percentage. His 1-8 record doesn't speak volumes about how he's played. He has had to make a lot of saves, as you see by the fact that he's made over 160 in 9 games, and he's going to probably have to continue to stand up tall in net if the Beacons are going to come away with a triumph against Castleton this evening. Let's take a look ahead at what's coming up for UMass Boston over the coming weeks. After this one, they'll be taking on the Corsairs of UMass Dartmouth on the road on Saturday, followed by a home affair next week against the Salem State Vikings before heading back out onto the road at EastCon before coming back home on April 16th against New England College at 7 p.m. The starting lineups for tonight's affair, first for Castleton. The Spartans will be looking like this. At attack, it'll be Tom Pardue. And midfield, Luke Essa, Kyle Latinsky, Cameron Russell. And on defense, Jeremy Clements, Jason Venezia, and Andrew McCarthy. They'll be in front of the senior netminder, Brandon Myron, at 6'3", 230. He's a big netminder for Castleton. And on the campaign, Myron will be making his 10th appearance, his 8th start. He has allowed just 8.81 goals per game and made 74 saves, good for a 60.2 percentage. His 1-5 record, though, is certainly not his fault, as his team has struggled to score goals. Really, offense has been the problem for Castleton. Defense has been the problem for the Beacons. Which side will the pendulum swing today? We'll find out in just a few minutes' time. For the Beacons, led by Tyler Lowe in his 9th season, obviously a down campaign so far at 1-8. They've been up and down over the last couple of years, most recently up last year, but we'll see what the rest of the season has in tow. Having played just one Little East Conference game, their brightest days may still be ahead, because if the Beacons can just come to play against LEC opponents, then they may still find themselves into a deep run into the LEC tournament. The starting lineup for the Beacons on defense, it'll be Tommy Wilbur, Matt Murphy, and the veteran junior Robert Ranta. The midfielders, Joe Masiri, Jack Ranta, and Jack Dobrinsky. And the attackers, it is a dominant duo of Michael Claflin and Donnie Bickford. As I said, goal scoring hasn't been a problem for the Beacons so far this year. They are led offensively by Connor Lenfest and Ned Parker. Offensively, neither of whom will be in the starting lineup today. So it'll be interesting to see if, without those two, the Beacons can continue to provide offensive punch in front of Cameron Dixon, the netminder senior, who will be getting the start today. The starters are being announced for both squads. Castleton on the road will be wearing their road green uniforms with white shorts. The Beacons likewise wearing their home whites with blue numbers and names. Castleton, after this one, as I said, will be getting ready for their LEC slate as well. They'll head back home for 3 games against EastCon, Keene State, and WestCon. for a non-conference affair against Norwich University. The Beacons, of course, with 4 consecutive LEC battles. Right now, the leader in the Little East Conference, Keene State, at 2-0. But only one team in the LEC has a winning record overall. That's WestCon at 6-5. They are 1-1 in the conference. So a win today, and the Beacons could potentially be within 1 game of first place in the conference, depending on what happens between East Con and Keene State. Those two battling today. We'll have an update on that at halftime. That one got underway a couple of hours ago at 5 p.m., so we should actually have a final on that by the time we reach the halfway point of this one. Going to step aside for just a moment while we have the national anthem and the starters are being announced. When we come back, we'll have the opening face-off between UMass, Boston, and Castleton.
Didn't really impact my decision at all playing here. I knew Tyler Lowe and Spencer Lowe before I came here, and both good guys. I love playing for them here already. My dad doesn't really talk much about his college experience playing lacrosse, but he graduated the class of 1991 playing for Miles, who works here now. Coach Bussy Adam played for Boston State when I was a whole other school. I think he's in the Hall of Fame here now. Played lacrosse and all that. I played for Tyler when I was younger. He coached my age group for primetime lacrosse. So I played up until about 6th grade, where I switched clubs just to play closer to home, kind of. And I love playing for Tyler. I've always known him, and it made it easier to make my decision to come here. Our recruiting class this year, the freshman class, is one of the biggest recruiting class Tyler's have ever had. My roommate, actually, Jack Ranta, I played with in high school, and he played for him. I stopped playing for Tyler for primetime, but Jack Ranta kept on playing for him, and his older brother Robbie's still here. I played with both of them in high school, and we're still playing with them, and it makes me feel more comfortable out there on the field, getting to know myself against college athletes. Most of the freshmen actually live in the dorms, so it's easier to see each other around. We always go to the dining hall, which is right in the new dorms. We hang out a lot over the weekends. We go to practice early sometimes, just hang out in the locker room. Get to know each other a lot. Our spring break trip down to Florida was actually really nice because we got to know each other a lot more. Staying in the condos and houses was a good time.
So Michael Claflin giving you insight behind the Beacon, as he, of course, one of the starters today, a freshman attacker at 5'10", 155 from Newton, Massachusetts. So the Beacons and the Spartans of Castleton ready to go. Castleton hailing from Vermont, an enrollment of 2,191. UMass Boston, of course, just Bayside here, next to Monon Park, where the Beacons baseball team is dueling with Mitchell College today, and an opportunity for them to pick up another win. As a packed evening of UMass Boston athletics. Here from James Cotter Field, we'll have the lacrosse battle between the Beacons and the Spartans. Get a shot there of the starters for both sides, greeting each other, ready to go today. Both of these teams know how critical this one is. A win for either of these squads puts them right in the thick of the LEC race. A loss drops either deeper into the valley with which they currently reside, as both goalies have greeted each other and headed back to their own nets, and we are all set for some lacrosse. Castleton will begin with possession as the road team. They will battle here for a face-off to begin this one. Castleton hoping that they can begin with possession as the road team in order to get a good start on a team that the Beacons have really struggled here over the last couple of weeks to defend their own net. We'll see if Dixon and company can do it. The opening face-off here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. And we are ready for some lacrosse. Battling for it and ultimately coming away with it were the Spartans, led there by number 17, Finn Miller. But Miller gets his pocket picked, and the man who lost the faceoff, Jack Dobrinsky, comes the other way. Cradling it in the right hand, Dobrinsky all the way around the net. Fires it back behind, connecting there with Michael Claflin, the man you just heard from. Claflin all the way around to Fahey. And Fahey will eventually set things up to connect back with number 40, Derek Caruso, fresh off the bench. Jack Riley behind the net now to Bickford. Back up to the top of the formation, and the Beacons looking to maintain the early attacking advantage and set up a solid shot to get this one underway. We'll play 4 15-minute quarters. Just a minute into this one. Juking back to his right and eventually sending it far side. And now behind the net it comes. Those long stick defenders looking to occupy the passing lanes. Instead, here's a chance on a shot in front. They score! UMass Boston tallying early as Jack Riley delivers for the Beacons. For Jack, that is his 3rd goal of the year, his 5th point, and the Beacons are on top 1-0. So Jack Riley gets his 3rd of the year on a beautiful passing play. The Beacons, after losing the initial faceoff, are able to take it away immediately on a nice play from Dobrinsky. And one Jack ultimately making the great defensive play to lead to an offensive play by another, as Dobrinsky's defensive effort sets up the offensive effort from Riley. And now the Beacons winning the ensuing faceoff with Joe Masiri maintaining possession to the far side. Both teams getting some reserves onto the field. Defensive players for the Spartans. Offensive-minded athletes for the Beacons.
UMass Boston goal scored by number 41, Jack Riley. Assisted by number
Riley
Derek Caruso.
will get the handoff from his partner in crime out there, that being Connor Lenfest, one of the team leaders in goal production. But today it's Riley who gets it started for Connor Lowe's Tub. Now from the far side, Tyler Lowe will watch as Riley takes another shot. That one whistles wide to the near side post. As unable to connect for a second time was Riley. The netminder Myron manning the post and able to watch it whistle wide. 13:01 to go. Beacons maintain possession. Lenfest will set things up. And that is going to be a penalty, it looks like, for the Spartans. And so the Beacons with a man advantage here and an opportunity to buoy their lead already. It's a 30-second call. And it looks like it's Tom Pardue, the senior for Castleton, number 11, who's guilty. So Beacons trying to get an early 2-0 advantage. On a season that has been one of large deficits, they'd love to stem the tide here. Behind the net it comes, around the horn to the far side. Fahey tries to go back up top, connecting on a whistling shot. They score! Cam Haletic delivers as Haletic, the 6'4", 245-pound midfielder, puts the Beacons on top 2-0, his 4th of the season. And so with the man advantage, the Beacons extend the advantage. It's 2-0, 12:36 to go in the first.
UMass Boston man on goal scored by number 23, Cam Haletic. This is by number 55, Dara Fahey.
Dara Fahey gets the credit for the assist. That was a pass that seemed like it took ages to get through the defense to Haletic, and once it did, Haletic knew what to do with it as Cam goes top shelf. And just like that, the Beacons up 2-0. Beacons get possession off the faceoff. Here is Dobrinsky again, just like on the initial faceoff win to begin the affair. Jack peels back, hands it off, connecting there with Mosiri. Joe cradling with the left arm, using the right arm to fend off the defender, that being Luke Essa. Here's a chance in front. That one denied by the netminder Myron, and then eventually taken finally by Castleton, their first opportunity at possession of the ball. So Myron makes his first save of the day, the senior netminder from Rensselaer, New York. And now here come the Spartans with an opportunity to set up their offensive zone. Wyatt Pickrell, number 22, to the far side. Around it comes. Near side now, connecting with Neil Sheehan. Sheehan back up to the top of the point. And eventually around the horn to number 27, Colin Clark, a senior midfielder. Clark jukes around the defender, trying to get around Masiri. Comes back ahead behind the net to Siddell. Jason Siddell now near side, connecting with Wyatt Pickrell again. Pickrell tried to go far side. Masiri pinched in on him. He has to hand this one off to Russell. Cameron Russell gets around, takes the shot. He scores on a bouncer. He beats Dixon on the first shot of the game for Castleton. And we've got ourselves an offensive showcase so far through 3 minutes and 52 seconds. It's 2-1. The goal scored by number 9, Cameron Russell. And for Russell, it's his 14th of the year. That's good for second on the team behind the 19 for Jason Siddell. He's now got 17 points, tying him for second with Kyle Latinsky. So just what the doctor ordered for Bo McDougall and the Castleton Spartans. As they fell behind 2-0 early, now 2-1. Jockeying for possession. Dobrinsky slaps at the stick not once but twice, trying to jar the ball away from Luke Essa, unable to do so as the long stick midfielder Essa is able to chuck it back to his netminder Myron, and who will get set up here for the Spartans to try to even it up. Possession here for Castleton. Motoring up is Adnan Adesama as he is able to get over midfield here at Cotterfield, and the Spartans are in business. It's a Castleton team that last time out against Salem State scored just 3 goals on the road on March 30th in a 4-3 loss to the Vikings. In fact, they have not scored double digits in goals since a March 19th affair, an 11-3 triumph over Anna Maria. This is a team that has not been in a lot of high-scoring affairs. Although by comparison, the Beacons have scored double digits just once, an 18-7 win over Hudson University back in the beginning of March 5th. Here's a chance for Russell to get 2 for the price of 1, and then he gets decked down to the turf and loses possession. Oh, what a big check there laid on by number 4, Robert Ranta, the 6'1", 210 defender from Newton. As the Beacons will try to take advantage, Masiri wanted to maintain possession, but the referees say that's a foul on UMass Boston, so possession will revert back over to the Spartans. No penalty on it. But Castleton will keep possession here. 9.5 to go, first quarter action. It's 2-1 UMass Boston here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Here are the Spartans trying to even it up, though. And we're going to get an infraction here. An offensive penalty there for the visiting Spartans. So the Beacons get possession. They will continue from there. UMass Boston trying to continue their 2-1 advantage. Great save made by Myron down low on the short side as he's able to deny it with the stick on a one-time shot attempt from Donnie Bickford. So the Beacons now back on defense on their heels. The Spartans moving back into the Beacons zone, and now behind the net it comes. Far side connecting there with Russell. Pickrell off the bench. He found Clark, and then around the horn they come as Clark cuts in front of the net. Adesama one-on-one, D'd up here by O'Brien. Chance in front, trying for the one-timer was number 11, Tom Pardue, but he never had possession of it before he attempted to whip the shot. Now here's Clark with a high-rising blast. Great save made. The first big save made by the Beacons netminder as Cameron Dixon makes the denial. Beacons trying to break out of their own zone. They do. And peeling back now is O'Brien looking for some help. He finds it far side. And the Beacons will slow things up in possession of Connor Lenfest. Off the bench, Jeremy Gerard, the freshman midfielder from Hinsdale, Massachusetts. He has possession right now. The 5'9", 160 midfielder. Nice move left to right, bouncing shot, he scores! Jeremy Girard delivers for UMass Boston, the second career goal for the Beacons freshman, and UMass Boston back up by 2. It's 3-1. Beautiful play from Girard off the bench as he cut right through the defense, faked the shot, ducked down to his right to get around the long stick defender. That might have been Jason Venezia. And ultimately tucks it down low past the stick of Brandon Myron. So 3-1 UMass Boston, as the Beacons are now just 1 goal away from their final goal total from their last time out on Saturday, a 16-4 loss to Merchant Marine. In fact, the Beacons have scored more than 5 goals just 5 times this year. So far, so good, though, as off the face-off win for the Spartans, they will maintain possession, trying to bounce back. Connor Ryder, a 6'6", 215-pound freshman from Whitby, Ontario, is in, number 44 in green. He connects on the far side, though, with Johnson. Collin comes behind the net. Feet in front, trying for the opportunity on the net mouth to connect with Cameron Russell, but unable to get it to him was Lutinsky. And the Beacons intercept it and move back the other way. Bouncing ball, eventually corralled and moved out of harm's way by number 25, Andrew McCarthy. And the Spartans are back in their offensive zone, though outnumbered severely at the moment. They'll slow things down. Feet in front, opportunity, trying to deke back, and that's a penalty coming up on UMass Boston as Chris Palin was taken down, or he ultimately took himself down with his momentum and ended up landing right on top of the attacker. And that's going to be a cross-check, and that's going to lead to problems for the Beacons. We'll see if everyone's okay. Palin limping off the field after being the guilty party. He came down hard on Cameron Russell. This is a Castleton team with a couple of Canadian natives. Not only the aforementioned Ryder, but also Wyatt Pickrell out of Newmarket, Ontario. So here we go with a man advantage for the Castleton Spartans. However, unable to take the pass and receive it was Johnson. That'll eat up some clock at the very least. Johnson then taken down on an aggressive defensive effort by Matt Palin. And the Beacons get possession. Great job from UMass Boston's defense. And that was Matt Palin picking up Chris Palin as Matt does the job in ultimately jarring the ball loose. Now here is Matt with possession, going through not 1, not 2, but 3 defenders and getting over midfield. And he will head off the pitch as he will hand it off in an opportunity for the Beacons to reset. Derek Caruso. Caruso with the Beacons still a man down, though. Doing a great job. And they'll eat up the rest of that clock. And we are going to get a timeout. So 5.5 minutes to go. 5:33 on the nose. The Beacons right now leading it 3-1. They had the early 2-goal advantage. The Spartans cut into it. But the Beacons getting the 3rd goal on a beautiful effort made by Jeremy Girard, as the freshman from Hinsdale and alum of Wacona Regional High was able to put the Beacons back up by 2. And that's where we stand right now, more than halfway through period number 1. Both of these teams with 7 games to go after this one, prior to the LEC tournament that begins at the end of the month on April the 30th. And as I stated, still plenty to be decided in the Little East Conference. Very early in this conference's schedule. As we are out of the timeout, Beacons took the timeout. They will have possession, as Connor Lenfest will begin with it. Lenfest playing pitch and catch with Gerard. Jeremy back out there after scoring the goal minutes ago. He'll hand it off as the Beacons are now evened up to Joe Myers. Behind the net for UMass Boston, a whipping shot. They score! UMass Boston delivers again on a beautiful overhand right-handed blast from Joe Myers. And just like that, the sophomore from Carmel, New York, has put the Beacons on top by their biggest margin today. It's 4-1.
UMass Boston unassisted goal scored by number 10, Joe Myers.
So the ensuing face-off coming here from the center of James Cotter Field. Updates from elsewhere. Keene State beat East Con 4-2. So Keene State now undefeated, or maintains their undefeated mark in the Little East Conference. They've won 19-3. 4-2 in the fourth, 19-3 overall. 19-3 win over East Con, a team that was expected coming into this season to compete for the top spot. East Con, the runaway favorite, with 64 points in the preseason poll. UMass Boston was second with 46, then East Con third with 43. Castleton picked to finish seventh with 28 points. Plymouth State leads Southern Maine 15-4 in the third. Emerson leading Salem 10-6 also in the third. And in the first, it's 2-2 between Dartmouth and the Coast Guard. So the Beacons will be shorthanded again, as we had a penalty there on Matt Palin. Palin had made a great defensive play after the previous penalty by Chris Palin. Because that's what happens when you have brothers out there that are freshmen still learning the intricacies of the collegiate game. Mistakes are going to be made, and you'll see flashes of brilliance as well. That is a cross-check and a 1-minute penalty. So the Beacons up by 3. They weathered the storm on their last penalty. We'll see if they can do it again. Far side, beautiful fake, sets up a chance. They score! What a shot and play from Jason Siddell, a senior midfielder from Pine Brook, New Jersey, as he dazzles the defense and blasts it by the netminder, and he makes it 4-2. And for Siddell, that is his team-leading 20th goal of the season.
University man-up goal scored by number 16, Jason Siddell. Assisted by number 3, Kyle Latinsky.
An absolutely wondrous play from Siddell as he faked the defense right out of their shoes and blasted it past Cam Dixon as the Spartans keep it close with 4:16 to go in the first. Ensuing face-off battled for, both players fighting, and ultimately possession taken by Castleton as motoring back into his own zone is Essa, the long stick midfielder from Woodstock, Vermont. Behind the net, Myron hands it off, and here come the Spartans leading up the way near side. It's Adesama. Adesama eventually hands it off to Russell. Russell gets around Museri. Far side, Russell gets all the way around the D, right in front, he scores! A one-man effort from Cameron Russell and the junior from St. Albans, Vermont, with his 15th goal of the year, second of the day. It's 4-3 now, as the Spartans bounce back.
By number 9, Cameron Russell.
So how about that effort from the two team leaders in goal production? First, Siddell with his 20th of the year on a solo effort, and then Russell with his second of the day, 15th on the year. Just what the doctor ordered for Castleton. And we've got ourselves a high-scoring affair here in the first so far. 7 goals scored in the first 11:30 of this action, as unable to maintain possession and losing it without even knowing it is Tommy Wilbur. And it comes out, and possession will go over to Castleton. Here's Nick Alexonis, number 7 from Weir, New Hampshire. Here come the Spartans trying to even it up. Coming on in, looking to shoot, he does, and that one whistled just wide on a bouncer there from Colin Clark. as the senior missed near side post. Possession here for Castleton behind the net. Back up to the top. Left-handed shot. Clark, he scores! Faking from the right to the left-handed, taking the shot with his offhand and delivering. Number 27, Colin Clark. That's 3 consecutive goals for Castleton, and we are tied at 4.
Castleton University goal scored by number 27, Colin Clark. Assisted by number 3, Kyle Latinsky.
Latinsky gets the assist. He led the team in that mark coming into play, and that continues. Clark now with 8 goals, 16 points. 4th on the team in that category. 3rd in goals. And from 4-1 to 4-all. And like I said, the problem the Beacons have had this year has been defense. And over the last few minutes, you've seen why. This is a very young team, especially in front of the netminder, Cameron Dixon. You have a few veterans in Robert Ranta and Jack Ranta, but then here coming the other way, all the way in and trying to tuck that one top shelf was Luke Essa, the long stick midfielder. And sometimes the long stick backfires. If he had a short one, he might have been able to tuck that one top, but the long stick left that one high. And we're actually going to get a penalty here coming as well. As the Beacons, I think, are going to go short again. They will. And it's going to be Ranta, the aforementioned veteran, the junior defenseman. So that is a 1-minute unnecessary roughness call against Robert Ranta. And so the Beacons in danger of falling behind for the first time today. Tom Pardue starts this man-up advantage with possession. Comes back to the near side, faking the shot. Being D'd up smartly by Tommy Wilbur was Cameron Russell. Russell already a couple of goals today, looking for the hat trick here in the first. Instead, he's going to be sent all the way back towards midfield on aggressive defense by Matt Murphy. Now a chance far side. That one blasted wide of the net on a shot from Pardue. Comes out, but kept in possession of the Spartans. The goal scorer from moments ago, Colin Clark, with just over 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. And we're going to get another penalty coming up here on the Beacons. I think Matt Murphy's the guilty party, and judging from the fact he's heading off, looks like he is. Excuse me, Joe Masiri, rather. Masiri, number 11. And so the Scituate native heads off, but luckily for the Beacons, one of the Spartans does as well, that being Jason Siddell. So evened up there. Beacons still a man down, but it could have been much, much worse. From the far side, back out to the top, now near side, taken in by Clark. Man advantage maintained here. Unnecessary roughness for both sides, I think, was the call. Now the Beacons evened up, and that one sent off the side of the net, just missing, was number 21, Colin Johnson. Johnson tried to tuck it home on the far side post, but just missed off the side of the net as Cameron Dixon cleaned it up. So now the Beacons trying to bounce back. Matt Palin went behind the net and connected with Michael Claflin. Couple of freshmen there. Beacons, so many freshmen on this roster. It's no wonder why they've started out 1-8 here in 2019. Now here's a sophomore, Connor Lenfest. Juke moves back to the right, comes back to his left, connecting, and getting jockeyed a couple of times from behind, but maintaining possession was Riley. Riley behind the net. Jack looking for a cutter in front, no one home. Riley now has to defer back to the top of the formation. Around the horn they come as Fahey connecting there with a high-rising shot. They score! Connor Lenfest. And the Beacons back on top 5-4 with 40 seconds to go here in the first quarter. What a shot from Lenfest, top shelf, as he's able to beat the netminder Brandon Myron, who despite being 6'3", 230, could not catch up to that one.
UMass Boston goal scored by number 9, Connor Lenfest. Assisted by number 55, Dar Fahey.
So the ensuing face-off here, Beacon's trying to keep momentum. Instead, it's taken by the Spartans, motoring back the other way. Adesama tumbling down, taking a shot. That one went wide, and they're going to call the Beacons here, I think, and that's going to cause possession to stay with the Spartans. They do. No penalty, so the Beacons won't go a man short. They've gone a man short a few times today, and it's been quite a troubling affair, though they have killed off the last couple. Less than 15 seconds to go. First quarter action. It's 5-4 UMass Boston. With possession, Russell looking for the hat trick. Coming all the way around with just 2 seconds to go, and they're going to run out of time. And they do. Not mindful of the time left for the Spartans there. And so after 15 minutes of play, the Beacons and the Spartans go back and forth. UMass Boston leading 4-1. The Spartans coming back to even it, but the Beacons on a late tally able to take a 5-4 lead heading into the second quarter of play. Let's step aside for one moment. We come back. We'll have the second quarter action between UMass Boston and Castleton.
Make a culture change kind of in the way that we recruit, kind of in the way that we bring guys in. And it's really translated out here into the weight room. Guys feel comfortable pushing each other. And it's just a really positive environment for kids to really get after it.
Well, specifically, like mostly when I played in high school, we didn't really have to lift. Like lacrosse wasn't a sport that lifted. So coming here and then lifting for lacrosse specifically was a lot different. There's a lot of different movements in some workouts that I've never really seen before. That was a big difference.
For example, Jeff and I, we've talked a lot. And lacrosse is a different sport. For example, in ice hockey, there's a lot of different movements, whether it be kind of a lateral movement versus running on the field. I thought Jeff's done a really great job kind of singling us out in the movements that we need to work on. And I think that he's created a program that's perfect for us and what we need to do on the field.
I've seen a lot of like my personal records that I had before in the past with weightlifting get broken here. So obviously what Jeff is showing us is proving to work in the weight room, and I'm sure it's going to help just as much as the field. I just feel like this is the best training that we've gotten, especially for me personally for lacrosse.
Yeah, having the upperclassmen who've been around with Jeff has been a great asset for us. Jeff's obviously a wonderful coach. He guides us in the right direction, but he can't look at all the guys at once. So having a big group of upperclassmen who know what they're doing and are able to push and guide kids in a safe way has really been a huge push, and that's why we're kind of putting the games that we are in right now.
It helps a lot. I mean, Jeff's only one guy, and Paige is only one person as well. And there's a lot of us here. There's about 40 of us here, so they're kind of obviously busy. They can't be.
Getting set for the start of the second quarter of play between UMass Boston and Castleton. 5-4 Beacons. Opening face-off to begin the second, won by the Beaks. Teams switching sides. They're shooting on here in the second quarter. So the Beacons shooting and moving from right to left. Left to right for Castleton. Beacons playing up one goal, though they have been down a lot more with regards to penalties. They've struggled to stay out of the sin bin here in the first half, but it has not hurt them precipitously. Here's an opportunity for the Beacons to boot with the advantage in front. Great save made by Myron. Another try, as that one was whistled in not once but twice on the chance there from Jack Riley. As the Beacons maintain possession, good opening advantage here for the Beaks as Riley, the 6'3", 210 attacker from Rentham, leading the way. Riley trying to do it again. Cuts back to the right side. Far side chance taken in from Lenfest. He scored the go-ahead goal late in the first. Lenfest finds Caruso. Caruso shot that one wide on the far side of the net. Beacons still with possession here. Just a minute 10 into the second. Cutting all the way in, a chance. Beautiful save, Myron, as he goes down to his tuchus to make the denial on an effort there from Riley. What a play from Myron. He's limping a little bit after the save as he had to stretch out like a butterfly goalie in hockey, but he got the job done. Not a save you often see a lax goalie make going down. He's still limping around behind his net. Now a penalty coming here again on UMass Boston. They have to stay out of the penalty box. And then coming up from behind and trying to assist defensively, all the way back from midfield was Fahey. And now a chance shot off the post. That one hit the far side post on a shot attempt taken from the far side by Neil Sheehan, number 15 in green. And so the Beacons will be short for 30 seconds as Fahey is offsides. Not entirely a surprise considering where he was coming from and where he ended up making the hit. The Spartans will try to take advantage and re-even this game up from their side of the attacking side of the pitch. Here comes Castleton with possession. Clark behind the net. Losing it for the moment, then getting harassed with the long stick of the defense of Ranta. And Robert does a great job jarring it out, causing the turnover. And then backhanding it to some friendly faces, and eventually taken in by Wilbur as Tommy turns it right back over. A chance in front, odd numbers in front, a chance, and then somehow, someway, unable to get the shot away in front was Siddell as he had the chance to tuck that one past Dixon. But Siddell never got his shot away. And so the Beacons get possession, and then Wilbur getting absolutely pummeled from behind, and then good sportsmanship is attempting to help him up, but Wilbur didn't really want the help, was Fien, and then another chance, they score! Castleton evens it up as Cameron Russell, a hat trick, as he gets his third of the day here in the first 18 minutes of play. How about that for Cameron Russell? His 16th of the season, and he and the Spartans have tied it up at 5.
Castleton University goal scored by number 9, Cameron Russell.
And so the Beacons looked like they were going to force the turnover that was going to get them out of harm's way there when they were a man down. Ultimately give up the game-tying goal. Off the ensuing face-off and then getting taken down from behind was number 28, Cameron Milliken. But able to keep possession is Castleton. They're doing a good job with that here in the second, and then they're going to get a timeout as Bo McDougall wanted to discuss things with his team. They've got momentum right now, though. It's 5-5 with 11:51 to go here in the second quarter of play. Out of the timeout, Beacon's heading back to their side of the field. Likewise, the other side for Castleton. Castleton will try to get their first lead of the day. Beacons led 2-0 and then 4-1. Castleton has yet to lead in this game, but they certainly have fought for that effort here in the second quarter. Both teams coming in with losing records. Both teams looking for their first LEC victory. And here come the Spartans out of the timeout. With possession, Wyatt Pickrell. Far side. Connecting there with Essa. Now back to Pickrell. Pickrell, D'd up tightly. Masiri on him. Pickrell tried to tuck it back, but Joe Masiri emerges with it as Pickrell just dropped it on an attempt to clear it. And now here come the Beacons the other way. UMass Boston, led by Palin, trying to retake the advantage that they had after one. Coming all the way in. Back behind the net, a handoff, tucking down low, trying to tuck it through the legs of Myron was number 20, Michael Claflin, but a good save made by Castleton's netminder. And so the Spartans will get possession on another great save here in the second quarter from their netminder Myron, who continues to play well this afternoon. And then coming all the way in, all alone, and scoring! And delivering again, Cameron Russell, his fourth of the day. A one-man wrecking ball through the Beacons' defense. And for the first time, Castleton has a lead at 6-5. Boy, oh boy, talk about a knife through hot butter. The Beacons' defense being the dairy as they were just absolutely obliterated by Russell there. And had no answers and have continued to not have any answers for the junior from St. Albans, Vermont. $10:59 to go, second quarter action, 6-5 Castleton. It's doing face-off here, won by UMass Boston. Coming all the way back into his own zone was the face-off specialist, Jared Colte. And now the Beacons with possession will look to get back in this game. They've given up back-to-back goals, being outscored 2-0 here in the second. For UMass Boston now with possession, it is Riley. Jack tried to send this one behind the net, was partially deflected. Bickford, around the horn it comes. Ultimately, Gerard, who has a goal today. Back to the point now for Caruso. Caruso lost possession, and that's going to slow up his opportunity, though he regains control of the ball. Cradling this one now, Riley. Riley D'd up tightly by Adesama, and ultimately loses possession. So the Beacons struggling here in the second quarter, 9:44 to go. Pickrell with possession, number 22 in green. Wyatt deking around the midfielders, but cannot find a lane with which to penetrate midfield. Eventually tucks it back for Myron. Myron, nice pass connecting over the outstretched stick of the midfielder Claflin. And now coming back the other way with it are the Spartans. Adnan Adesama behind the net. Far side it comes. Back up to the top for Jason Siddell. Siddell hands it off now for Connor Ryder, the freshman from Whitby. Back out there at 6'6", 215. Now behind the net, faking the feed to the near side and going back far side, Kyle Latinsky. Coming all the way back now for Siddell again. Siddell one-on-one. With the fake around Mosiri, comes right in front, but unable to get the shot away there was Adesama. And the Beacons get possession, Robert Ranta. Ranta tries to hand it off to Dixon. Ultimately, Robert's going to pick it up himself as the defense had retreated back towards midfield. Oof. Bit of an ugly pass there from Ranta, handcuffing Palin, but Matt is able to regain possession. And nice play with the left arm, using his body to shield it. And they're going to say that the Beacons committed the foul, and they're going to have to hand it right back. Offsides, UMass Boston. It's really been a game in which the Beacons could be down a lot more than 6-5 against a team that had better offensive production than Castleton this year. They might be, with the way the Beacons have taken penalties today. It has been bad news bears for UMass Boston. Still plenty of time in the first half, 8 minutes to go. Behind the net, Castleton back out top. Taken in here by Siddell. Siddell, one-on-one, D'd up, goes right around Mosiri, takes a shot from a tough angle, and that one hits the side of the net wide. Dixon Stretch feed connecting there with Mosiri. Good heads-up play connecting there with Matt Palin. Palin coming on in offensively, far side, and good defensive effort pinching into the passing lane. Palin was trying to connect with Lenfest, and it was picked off on a beautiful play made out there by Essa. $7:15 to go here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Second quarter action. It is 6-5 Castleton. They lead your Beacons. Men's lacrosse action. Beacons coming in 1-8 overall. Castleton 2-7, though both teams really on the horizon of their LEC schedules. As that shot beats the netminder Dixon, a bouncing blast, and a goal scored by Colin Johnson, the freshman midfielder from South Burlington, Vermont. It's 7-5. For Colin, that is his second goal of the season.
Castleton University goal scored by number 21, Colin Johnson, assisted by number 7, Nick Alexanis.
So off the ensuing face-off, Beacons get possession on the turnover by Castleton. Robert Ranzel leading the way the other way as he connects near side with Claflin. Claflin has it, and the Beacons will try to set things up. They have been really struggling to get anything going offensively here in the second. Outscored 3-zip. And consistency has been the name of the issue for the Beacons this season. Here's Fahey. Dare Fahey with possession off the bench. Jukes to the left, back to the right. But the Beacons, again, unable to connect on the pass, and that's another turnover for UMass Boston, as what would have been, what should have been really, an easy passing play from Fahey to Palin, and instead it's a turnover. Castleton has it. Myron connecting and then going right around the midfield, using the left arm to shield it, is number 8, Matteo Parentoni. Behind the net. Pardo goes far side. Back out now to the top here as Sedell will connect with Ryder. Ryder using the body, his big 6'6" frame to shield off the defender, and a good save made by Dixon as he stepped right into that one to make the denial with the chest. So the Beacons trailing now by 2 goals, their largest deficit of the day. And then they're taken down after making the reception in mid-leap was Joe Myers, and that'll lead the other way. Essa hands it off. Parentoni goes far side, but gets his pass intercepted. Now here come the Beaks now. Riley leading the way, comes all the way in, then falls down. Referees say it was his own momentum that took him down, and not that of Jason Venezia, as the Beacons continue to struggle to keep possession, and ultimately we were going to get a timeout. Tyler Lowe doesn't like what he sees here from the Beacons offense. They have yet to score a goal here in the second, and we are through over 10 minutes of play in this quarter. 4:35 to go, second quarter action. It's 7-5 Castleton here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Back here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network, John Skudras bringing you the action of men's lacrosse. Beacons currently trailing 7-5, 4.5 to go, second quarter action. Beacons with possession. Fahey, near side for Riley, back behind they come. Beacons have yet to score in now 10 minutes, 40 seconds of the second quarter. Caruso, one-on-one, trying to go around the defensive pick roll, but he ran into the brick wall of Essa as Luke stands tall with that long stick. Fahey now gets it from Riley. Fahey jukes to his left and then has to peel back again. The defense of Castleton impressive today, and there's a reason why they held Salem to just 4 goals last time out. Very good positioning, and it continues as Fahey tumbling back and down onto his neck as he rolled over. He's okay, but that shot whistled wide as that was really an awkward possession for the Beacons in what has been a series of awkward possessions for UMass Boston here in the second quarter. And they are going to get a shot clock violation. Good grief. Well, that's something you see all that often. You get 80 seconds. The Beacons continuing to struggle. 3.5 to go, first half action. Stay tuned at halftime. We'll get you a look around the Little East Conference scoreboard, as well as at the halftime stats. And a look ahead at what's coming for UMass Boston. Also, we'll get a look behind the Beacon at Cameron Dixon, the Beacon's netminder, a senior who's had to step up largely this year with a lot of underclassmen around him. And we'll see what Cameron has to say about his senior campaign. Right now, sophomore Jack Riley has possession. He hands it off to Caruso. Riley, nice move to his left. Fakes the shot with the left hand. Takes the shot with the right hand. No, instead he comes back behind the net. A feed in front for the cutter. They score! And it's Jeremy Gerard again as the freshman delivers his second of the day. And it's 7-6. The Beacons finally on the board here in the second quarter. For Jeremy, he has now tripled his season production from 1 to 3.
Jeremy Gerard, assisted by number 21, Donnie Bickford.
So great stuff from Gerard. As the Beacons have continued this roller coaster ride of a first half. They led 4-1 in the first quarter. The lead then evaporated to a 4-4 tie. A 5-4 advantage for UMass Boston after one, a 7-5 deficit, and now 7-6 as a couple of players, first for the Beacons, tumbling down to his face was Colte, the face-off specialist, then Luke Essa for the Spartans. Ultimately, the Beacons will gain possession out of that tumultuous turn of events. With possession, Mosiri, as he's joined by Fahey. And Fahey will start things out for UMass Boston as Joe hits the bench. From the far side, Hladek, who does have a goal today, led it back behind the net, took the shot instead, and it was ultimately denied by Myron. He was harassed from behind, but Lenfest couldn't catch him sleeping. So Myron gets it. The netminder saucers that one towards midfield. Nice play to make the reception, the juke around the defense and coming all the way in and sending it far side. Now give and go right back to where it came to Parentoni. Parentoni couldn't handle it, but luckily for the Spartans, he had assistance in the form of Cameron Russell. Now behind the net, Latinsky comes back towards Russell, who has possession. Left-handed cradle, far side for the aforementioned Parentoni. Mateo right through a lane in front. Good save made by Dixon. Another try as that one is whistled wide and high as there's another flag coming out and sailing through the sky as we've seen more flags than the United Nations here in the first half of play, most of which coming against UMass Boston, and that trend continues as the Beacons will be short again. Well, they say Jeremy Girard is the guilty party. Looks like Jeremy didn't know where to go. Not a player who takes a lot of penalties, being more of an attacking midfielder. Nonetheless, Girard will be off to the sideline, and here's a chance for the Spartans to answer. That shot never made its way through. It was blocked down. Good effort in front, and now Ranta, a man who knows what to do with it from his own defensive position, as he motors forward and hands it off, and the Beacons will try to get back into a tie with 65 seconds to go. Claflin thinks better than to try to pinch around the defender Clements. And the Beacons, with 55 seconds left, will slow things up here. They could eat all the clock they want here, all the way down to the end of the half. Fahey finds Riley, fresh off the bench. Jack, back to Fahey. Fahey, nice juke, got the defender on his heels, and ultimately is able to connect down low with Claflin. Claflin back to Riley. 22 seconds to go. Now here's Bickford. Bickford shoved a few times from behind by Russell. A two-way player in his own right. Bickford shot, he scores! And with just 10.9 to go, UMass Boston has evened it up at 7. A clutch goal scored by the freshman from Braintree, Donnie Bickford, who comes up big despite his 5'8 frame.
UMass Boston announces the goal scored by number 21, Donnie Bickford.
And so, barring the unthinkable, we should head into halftime, evened up at 7. And what has been predictably an even affair, judging from the fact that the Beacons came in struggling defensively, the Spartans came in struggling offensively. We were judging which side the pendulum would swing, and right now it rests solely in the middle. Through 30 minutes of play, it's 7-7, Spartans and your Beacons. So a heck of a performance here for both sides. First for the Beacons to begin the game. They took a 4-1 advantage early. The Spartans battled back to even it up at 4. 5-4 UMass after 1. And then a 7-5 advantage going into the waning minutes of the first half. A timeout from Tyler Lowe stemmed the tide of that momentum. And we are through one half of play with UMass leading it 7-7. Well, a large reason why the Beacons are still in this game is some clutch saves from the netminder Cameron Dixon. We got a chance to catch up with Cameron, the senior for UMass Boston, and look behind the Beacon. That's up next right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Lacrosse was really big. I went to Wayland High School, right by Framingham, Chitchwit. Lacrosse was really huge there. We had a pretty good team my senior year, decent-sized senior class. A lot of leaders on the team. We made it pretty far into the conference play for states, but unfortunately we ended up losing. And then I did want to continue on my lacrosse career. I went to University of Tampa for freshman and sophomore year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to play there besides some pickup games and whatnot. And then it wasn't until the end of my sophomore year that I started looking into coming back here to play lacrosse, and that's when I contacted Coach Lowe. He was nice enough to reach out and fortunate enough to offer me a spot on the team. I did end up getting injured last year. I broke my right metacarpal, which was unfortunate, but this year came back, and I think we're doing pretty well this year, making the best of what we have. Yeah, so there was about 4 or 5 of us. They were all pretty good goalies out there. So it kept the competition lively, especially because everybody wanted to get minutes in. Everybody wanted to play games. Forget how it happened exactly, but after a couple of games, coach just named me starter. And then I started a few games until I broke my hand. It was tough mentally, but it kind of just gave me a little more motivation to come back and kind of take advantage. Because, I feel like everybody knows in sports, it can be taken for granted sometimes. Like a freak injury can happen any day, any practice, any game. So it's, I feel pretty blessed that I'm back and healthier than ever. So, all's good. It's pretty exciting. It's obviously rather get some more wins on there, but I think the losses and what we've gone through as a team kind of brings us closer together. Really shows what we got to work on. I feel like it builds character for the team, especially for the younger guys on the team. Seeing that, like, we got to still keep going through. It really shows them something. Yeah, it's a little shocking to me. I never thought I'd be, putting up the numbers that I am now. It is really shocking. I'm surprised to see it. I'm happy to see it, but again, rather have the wins for the team. Okay, so after college, I'm hoping to go into the Marine Corps. I'll be going to officer candidate school. I believe it's PLC 231 this summer. And after I graduate that and then graduate from college, I'll be commissioned as a second lieutenant, and I'll go off to the basic school.
Through 30 minutes of play, an even affair, 7-7 between UMass Boston and Castleton, here from James Cotter Field, as we are currently adjacent to the baseball team dueling to the north, the Beacons and the Spartans battling here from BC High. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics. Right now, Castleton out dueling the Beacons in the shot category, but not by much, just 19-18. 8 saves made by Myron right now for the Spartans, just 5 made for Dixon and the Beacons. Face-offs pretty even, 9-7 in favor of Castleton, 9-6 the turnover margin. It seems like the Beacons had more turnovers than just 6, though a lot of the turnovers cleaned up by UMass's effort, but in the end, a big problem for the Beacons wasn't the turnovers, it was the man-up opportunities, as you see there. The good news is the Beacons have done a fine job killing off those deficits, but they've given up 5 man-up opportunities, which is something you just cannot do against teams with better offensive firepower than Castleton. As we've seen so far this year, the Beacons have been victims of it, and as evidence in double-digit losses to Keene State and Merchant Marine Academy just in the last week and a half. So the Beacons trying to do what they have not been able to do at all this year, which is win a close game. Really, the Beacons haven't been in many close games. They've only been in 2 games that were decided by less than 5 goals, that being 2 losses, an 8-10 loss to LaSalle and a 13-9 loss to Lycoming, as they continue to struggle here in 2019. But who knows? The LEC slate just underway. A win today could buoy them in an effort to get to that LEC tournament. Let's take a look around Beaconville and see how the rest of the Beacons action is going on here on what has been a balmy Wednesday in Massachusetts. As the weather does decline, though, and the sun sets, the Beacons heat up. The baseball team, right now 0-0 in the bottom of the 3rd inning against Mitchell College. That one likely is going to go into the night here in Boston. Softball is hosting Framingham State tomorrow. It'll be a doubleheader at 3 o'clock, getting underway on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Coverage underway just before 3 o'clock here on the BBN. Men's tennis travels to Castleton on Saturday as they will do their effort to overcome the Spartans. And track and field is at Smith College also this weekend on Saturday. So the Beacons right now in a 7-7 tie as they will look to continue what has been a good first half, especially offensively. At least in the first quarter, the Beacons sparkled, coming right out of the gate with reckless abandon, scoring 4 of the first 5 goals. And they did so with a lot of new faces. Jeremy Gerard probably has to be the one to keep an eye on here, as he is 1 goal away from a hat trick. The freshman had just 1 goal coming into play in his first 9 games, as he has tripled that total up to 3. Let's take a look ahead and see what Gerard and the Beacons will be taking a look at after this game. They'll continue their LEC slate for 3 more, as they will be at UMass Dartmouth on Saturday, as that one gets underway around noontime. Next week, they'll be back on the BBN a week from today against Salem State at 7 p.m., and then following that on Saturday, a road battle against EastCon, a team that got absolutely obliterated by first-place Keene State 19-3 today. We'll have a look at the LEC scoreboard shortly. The Beacons will then go back into non-conference play on Tuesday, April 16th, a home battle against New England College. The Beacons will then finish up their season slate with 2 out of 3 home games, all of them being in the LEC. On April 20th, a battle against Plymouth State here from Cotter Field. On the 23rd, the following Saturday, a battle against Southern Maine, then wrapping things up at home against Western Connecticut State. let's take a look at the LEC scoreboard here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I'll just read it off to you. Keene State beat East Con 19-3 earlier today. That moves Keene State to 4-0 in the conference, firmly entrenched on top of the Little East Conference standings. No surprise, they were the firm favorite in the prognostications prior to the season. They got all but one first-place vote, 8 of 9, and I think the one that went to UMass Dartmouth might have been a bit of a homer vote because nobody else thought they'd come in the top 4 spots in the conference. Elsewhere, Plymouth State all over Southern Maine as they have put up 21 goals, leading the Huskies 21-6 in the fourth quarter. Plymouth State came in 1-0 in the conference, Southern Maine towards the bottom, and they were predicted to come in 8th place coming into the season, so no surprise there. Emerson leading Salem 16-7. That is a final. And UMass Dartmouth currently trailing Coast Guard 8-2 at the half. As I said, the Corsairs struggling a little bit here in the middle of the 2019 season. We're just about 90 seconds away from the face-off to begin the second half of play. Going to step aside one more time. When we come back, we will have the start of the second half of play with the score, Castleton 7, UMass Boston 7, right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Just about set for the opening face-off here, the second half of play. Both teams ready to go before the clock had ticked down to conclude halftime. And here we go. Colte taking it for the Beaks as he is prone to do, one of the face-off specialists for Tyler Lowe's club. And we are all ready to rock and roll, and we begin here in the second half. Face-off push towards the Beacons' half of the field. Wilbur ultimately comes away with it. So the Beacons will start with possession to begin the second half in a 7-7 tie. Coming up the near side, Fahey able to stay in bounds, tiptoeing the sideline. Nice effort by the Beacons midfielder. And he and UMass Boston will look to take advantage. Riley coming back behind the net. Connecting there with Lenfest. Far side, around the horn it comes. Ultimately, it's back to Fahey. Jukes around, pass down low, trying to connect, I believe, with the cutter, Michael Claflin, but it evaded his stick and was ultimately corralled by Meyer in the netminder. He sends it far side. Andrew McCarthy playing pitch and catch with defensive teammate Jeremy Clemens. Back to McCarthy on the far side. Tries to go through two Beacons defenders. The pass was behind Russell, and here comes UMass Boston on the other side. It's an opportunity for the Beaks to set up a rush. Great defensive play as getting in the passing lane and forcing a turnover was Adesama. As the Beacons had a chance, Mosiri almost watched an opportunity for Lenfest. Now coming back the other way. Good save made as the Beacons were able to avoid any sort of goal coming from that turnover. Getting a whack on his leg pretty aggressively was Riley from Latinsky. And the referee stopping play for the moment. Subs on for the Beacons, and we are ready to rock. Here is Girard looking for his third goal of the day. Back on the field. Number 2 in white, Jeremy. Cuts back to the left side. Girard. Far side, Riley. Riley getting a screen on an effort made there by Caruso. Riley, though, loses his footing and loses possession. They're going to say that the infraction against Castleton will lead to another Beacons possession. So a break for the Beaks. Caruso back to Riley. Now Caruso. Derek to the far side, coming back behind the net towards his partner in crime, that being Lenfest. They switch positions. Caruso in front, connecting with Girard. 12:30 to go, third quarter action. Girard, near side, sends it up to the top. A chance. Do they score? They score! UMass Boston. Connor Lenfest delivers. Not sure if that one ticked off the side of the net or penetrated the goal. It did the latter, and UMass Boston has taken the lead. It's 8-7.
UMass Boston goal scored by number 9, Connor Lenfest, assisted by number 2, Jeremy Girard.
So Girard has had himself a day. Now he gets an assist to go along with his 2 goals. Connor Lenfest with a beautiful blast from way outside, as he continues to heat up here as the weather does in New England. And the Beacons have regained the lead 8-7, their first lead since they led 5-4 to begin the second. They had a chance to win that face-off, but Luke S. is the one who emerges with it. A bag coming across the field as Essa has a chance to put his team in front. He connects. They score as Sheehan delivers. And UMass Boston, just like that, goes from the lead back to tied. That's Jason Siddell who delivers. And crazy eights, it's 8-8 here in the third.
Castleton University goal scored by number 16, Jason Siddell, assisted by number 5.
Siddell, another goal today. That's his second, as he and the visiting Spartans continue to not go away. The Beacons, every time they get a lead, are greeted quickly. That is the 21st goal of the year for Siddell to lead the squad. Face-off now coming on the ensuing opportunity. Winning it and motoring forward for Castleton was Finn Miller, the face-off specialist. He then got his pocket picked, and the Beaks gained possession. Ranta near side as he finds Murphy. 11:47 to go. Murphy, nice fake on the pass. He goes right around the midfielder as Siddell was absolutely fooled. Great play by Murphy. Now he'll retreat back to his side of the field. And the Beacons will set things up. Midfield pinching in, and here we go. Mosiri hands it off. That's Andrew Gallagher out there. First chance to mention Andrew's name, the freshman from Milford. Here's Myers. Myers spinning around the D. Greeted rudely and D'd up tightly by Pickrell. Myers still has it. Now comes back behind the net. Fahey back to Myers. He's got a chance on a lane in front. Great save made by Myron as he went down to his knees to make the denial. Tell you what, surprised Myron plays lacrosse with the way he plays goal, as he has gone down to that butterfly formation you see in hockey a lot today to make some great denials. In another life, maybe he'd be starting for Castleton's hockey team. This time, though, 10:23 to go in the third. It's the Spartans lacrosse team who looks to take the advantage. But this one comes out of bounds, and the Beacons will get possession. Beaks trying to motor forward, take advantage of the Spartans when they're off balance. Here's Mosiri coming through, and then immediately greeted by the aggressive defense of Russell. Mosiri behind the net it comes as it's taken in and slowed up by Claflin. Claflin has Bickford on the near side. Bickford scored moments ago. Instead, Claflin spins around the D. He's greeted by Clements and has to defer to Girard. Jeremy behind the net, taking his time, now cutting back, tries to go around, now fakes to the right, comes to the left, comes right out in front. Thought about taking the shot. Great feed, far side, they score! What a feed from Gerard to Bickford. And that duo continues to excel. The Beaks are back on top. It's 9-8. Back and forth this game goes. Where will it finish? As the Beacons lead 9-8 here in the third.
UMass Boston goal scorer number 21, Donnie Bickford, assisted by number 2, Jeremy Gerard.
So 9-8 Beacons now on top, trying to win this face-off Cote, and Cote does. So the Beaks get possession off the goal and an opportunity to continue what has been a second half of back-and-forth action as the Beacons leading it by a goal. Good reception of that pass as rising up with the stick was Lenfest. He's beat up by McCarthy. Lenfest far side, finds Claflin. Round the horn it comes. Haladic all the way around now near side. Good fake. Cutting back with the right arm was Caruso. His shot whistled wide. Claflin back to the top. Haladic has a goal earlier today, and the Beacons will turn this one over. Beacons didn't turn the ball over too much in the first, and now one thing they did do a lot in the first was commit penalties, and we're going to see another. They didn't do it much in the first 7 minutes of the second half, but in the first half, those woes were exponential, and they've reared their head again. So now here's UMass Boston. They'll be shorthanded shortly. Here's an opportunity. And now again going down and drawing another flag. Man alive. Tumbling down with possession was Pardue. As Robert Ranta looks like the guilty party, he'll head off. Now Ranta finds out it might not have been him. He'll head back on. It's going to be Wilbur. And I'll get you a word on what that call is shortly. And is it just Wilbur? No. Looks like it's going to be Wilbur and Caruso. My goodness. So the Beacons in big-time hurts here. That shot deflected off the stick. I think getting his stick in the passing lane was Fournier. A delay is the call. And a push on Wilbur. So delay and a push by Wilbur. So Caruso and Wilbur are the guilty parties. Beacons now shorthanded, but somehow able to avoid an issue there, getting a couple of whacks at the offhand there, and an overhand hack and drawing the penalty, as that looked like chopping wood was Jason Siddell, and he's going to pay the price as he was doing it right in front of the ref, and he got caught for the slash. My goodness. Jason Siddell out there looking like Paul Bunyan as he was chopping some wood with the axe, and he's going to be caught doing it. So the Beacons now go from two men down to a man up. Gotta love it. It's 9-8, 7:52 to go, third quarter action. Beacons and the Spartans. UMass Boston trying to extend the advantage. They haven't had a 2-goal lead since way back in the first quarter when it was 4-2. They lead by 1 now. Here's a chance. Quick shot. Great save. Myron going down again and kicking it away with the right leg as the shot attempt came from Haladic. And again, Myron going down low to make the save. .7:25 to go. Beacons in offensive possession here. Behind the net, Fahey. Back to the top. Hellenic takes the low shot. The bouncer never made its way through. A rebound chance of the shot who didn't make its way through, taken by Bickford. But that one sails high and wide. UMass Boston still, though, doing a fine job here out of halftime, maintaining possession, limiting the mistakes. And we'll see if they can take advantage. Faking the shot, Riley. Back behind the net it comes. Fahey near side. Chance for a quick shot. Hellenic, good save with the stick made by Myron. He has been outstanding today as he launches one deep. And off the bounce, that one ultimately, after a cavalcade of players fight for it, will emerge in the possession of Matt Murphy. He'll launch this one forward, and now Riley has it. All the way around, coming on in, that one, they score! UMass Boston, as Matt Murphy comes all the way through. Jack Riley on the feed from Mac Murphy comes all the way through, and UMass Boston has taken a 10-8 lead. First time since the first quarter they've had a lead of multiple goals. So Jack Riley with an excellent effort coming all the way in, and they take control 10-8. Ensuing face-off, Colte wins it. What a specialist he is. He's been outstanding here, especially in his three efforts in the second half. So the Beaks get possession off of the win by Colte. Here's Girard back onto the field. He has been really integral in the Beacons gaining momentum today. Here is Girard with possession, one-on-one with Pickrell. Peels back, and then back from whence he came with the left-handed cradle. Tries to center it in front. Unable to connect with the cutter. That being number 20, Michael Claflin. And instead, intercepted for Myron and the Spartans to set up. That one dumped all the way in, a long stretch feed, and somehow, someway, they almost got that feed completed as Pardue almost picked it up right in front of the crease. Luckily, though, for the Beacons, unable to do so, and then there's a push, and the Beacons are going to get possession as flying through the air was Robert Ranta. And now Murphy with it. Murphy, far side for Ranta. And then Ranta can't handle the pass, and that is a woeful turnover for UMass Boston. Something they hadn't done here in the third quarter, 10 minutes of play, and that is a real tough turnover and a timeout called by McDougal and the Spartans. So the Beacons trailed in this game at 1 point 7-5. It was 7-7 at the half. They have outscored Castleton 3-1 here in the third, and it's 10-8 with 5:03 to go. We'll be back here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Back out of the timeout for Castleton, and the Spartans will have possession. 5:03 to go. 10-8, Beacons leading the Spartans here in the third quarter. The wind picking up here, which is going to cause passing to be even more difficult. As you see there, the ball getting caught up in the wind, eventually ending up in the grasp of Siddell. Siddell comes back out towards midfield, finds some man on the far side. Russell looking for his fourth of the day. That one whistles wide on the near side post. Comes out for Spartans possession. And getting really tied up there with Caruso, and tumbling down was Colin Clark. And they're going to say that Caruso made the contact, and looked to me almost like Clark got caught between his own two legs, but it was close. So Clark gets possession, 4:35 to go. Near side, Siddell. He can score. Goes right through the D with a beautiful spin move. He scores! What an effort by Jason Siddell as he penetrates the defense and denies the Beacons from continuing their momentum. It's a one-goal game at 10-9.
Castleton University goal scored by number 16, Jason Siddell.
Jason Siddell, his third of the day, his 22nd of the year. And the hat trick for Jason Siddell. So in a game that has largely been dominated by two players for the Spartans, 4 goals for Russell, 3 for Siddell, 1 each for Colin Clark and Colin Johnson. And it's a one-goal game again. 4:20 to go, third quarter action. Beacons and the Spartans. UMass Boston gets the face-off in their own zone and ultimately possession. Mosiri coming on in. Left-handed shot by Joe. Whistles wide on the near side. Comes out for the Beacons to gain possession. Donnie Bickford, the man with it. He sends it far side. Ultimately, by way of Riley and Claflin, it comes to Jack O'Brien. O'Brien, number 8 in white, with possession. And it gets it poked away on a beautiful defensive play made by Adnan Odosama. And Odosama watches as his Spartans move up into the attacking zone. Essa hands it off now to Cameron Russell. What a day for Russell. 4 goals. Pickrell now. Finding Clark, who goes back to the man who started this, Adosama. Adosama tried to hand it off to Siddell, who tried to whack at a ball that was bouncing in front of the crease, but a good effort made by Dixon to come out and deny it. And they're going to, however, give possession to Castleton. So here is Kyle Latinsky and the Spartans. 3 minutes to go, third quarter action. 10-9, UMass Boston. Latinsky tried to find the cutter in front. That was Clark. Was unable to do so. Ball still loose in the crease. Eventually, it's emerging in the grasp of Wilbur, who's harassed tightly by Siddell, but Wilbur comes out and finds his man and then misses on the feed. But a penalty coming up here on Castleton. I think it's going to be slashing as Siddell continuing to wield a lively stick. And we are going to get a stoppage with 2:27 to go. I think Robert Ranta is going to be guilty of a penalty. That may have come later in the play. I thought at least the Spartans were going to get called for something earlier on, what looked like a slash, and I think they are. The referee's trying to get the attention of one of the Spartans to come over. The man running over right now is Connor Ryder. So Robert Ranta is in the penalty box. Connor Ryder will join him. And so one aside, heading off the field. And it is slashing on Ryder. And slashing on Ranta. So everybody's getting a little loose with their sticks as the night progresses. 2:22 to go, third quarter action. Beacon still leading by a goal, 10-9. Here's Siddell with possession, near side now. Around the horn it comes. Russell trying to connect there with Johnson, could not do it. And the Beacons get possession. Clearing it all the way down is Chris Palin. And eventually the Spartans will get it, but the Beacons doing a good job to at least keep it out of harm's way with one of their top defenders, Robert Ranta, currently off the field and in the penalty box. Great cut. Wow, what a play made by Russell, as he went right around Michael Claflin there and caught Michael flat-footed. And now Siddell being harassed by a couple of Beacons defenders, lost possession, ball in the air. Both players out of the sin bin. We're evened up. And here come the Beaks. Murphy connecting there with Matt Palin. Palin. Ooh, little lackadaisical reception there from Lenfest, but he caught it up to it. And he'll hope to make up for it as Riley joins him on the field. Lenfest, Riley, Bickford, and Claflin are out there. Gerard will join them and receive the pass. Caruso as well now has possession. Caruso for Gerard. 45 seconds left, third quarter action. Beacons by a goal. And slowing things up here, with just 30 seconds left, is Gerard. Gerard fakes the left, comes to his right, hands it off, far side, bouncing shot from Riley, whistles wide of the net. 11 seconds left on the possession, 15.5 on the quarter. Beacons need to hurry. Here's a chance from behind the net. Connecting there. Bouncing shot. Good save made by Myron on the shot attempt from Claflin. With just 5 seconds left. Long stretch feed. Clark is going to use the body to shield off Palin. But that's going to be all she wrote for the third quarter. So we began the second half tied up at 7. And the goals scoring few and far between. But the Beacons out-tallying the visiting Spartans 3-2 in the quarter, and they lead it 10-9 after 3 quarters of play. We'll be back right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Back out here for the start of the fourth quarter of play in a one-goal game. 10-9, UMass Boston on top, 15 minutes on the clock. The Beacons will hope to emerge with their second victory of 2019. Colte out there to take the face-off for the Beaks against Finn Miller. And it is Colte again taking over. And, oh, no, they give it right back to Finn Miller, so he gets bailed out by the refs there. And so the Spartans will gain possession as Adesama is the man here with it. He emerges over midfield, and then will set this offense. He's got Clark joining him. He's the one who gets this feed, Colin Clark. Down low. Around the horn it comes by way of Pardue. All the way to the far side. Siddell finds Adesama again, and now Russell, who has 4 goals today. Cam Russell all the way in, looking for 5, and a great save made by Dixon, getting the stick down as he is able to deny a 5th goal of the day for Cameron Russell. Beacons trying to take advantage, and on first effort, not so lucky. Chris Palin perseveres, gets it, tries to hand it off. Dangerous play. What a duck through 2 defenders on a play made by Claflin. Eyes in the back of his head for Michael Claflin. Now all the way around, coming in front, a chance, looking for help, fires it to the far side, somehow able to connect there with Lenfest. Great effort by Claflin on that possession. And the Beacons will slow things up and catch their breath. So here's Jack Riley. Riley fakes to the left side, comes back to the right, hands it off. A chance for Girard in front as he connected with Claflin, but his shot denied in close range and proximity by the netminder Myron. 13:27 to go. Riley fakes to the right, back to the left, takes the shot. That one had some rockets on it, and that one is gone as that one sailed way out of here over the fencing on the far side into the elementary school adjacent to this field. Someone will find that one at recess tomorrow. So now here's Fahey for the Beacons trying to continue this one. Girard. Back behind the net it comes. Claflin found Lenfest. Lenfest spins around the defender. Attacked tightly by Venezia. Venezia watches as Lenfest goes back to the far side for Bickford. Bickford shot that one wide. Flags fly, and with 12:50 to go, Beacon should keep possession, and they look to be a man up when they do. It's going to be a slashing call on Adesama, and with 12:50 to go, 1 minute man-up advantage here for the Beacons to try to get that 2-0 lead back. So here we go. Haladic, far side. Gets it right back to Bickford. Bickford for Riley, behind the net. Bouncer, short hops. Fahey, good effort to keep with it. Lenfest finds Haladic, back to Bickford. Riley fakes the pass down low, now takes it. Beacons playing keep away here, and instead they keep away from themselves as that pass from Lenfest way too high for Haladic, who stands all of 6'4", so it's not easy to do. $12:20 to go. Fourth quarter action. Possession now for the Spartans. Still looking to retie this game. It was 7-7 at the half, 8-8 in the third. Beacons took a 10-8 lead. We are at 10-9 with 12 minutes to go. Castleton's Wyatt Pickrell, number 22 in green, with possession. He's joined out on the field by Connor Ryder, and Ryder has it now. The Ontario native, D'd up tightly, and eventually loses possession. Good effort made defensively. Wilbur gets it, but it was the aggressive check from Joe Moseri that dislodged possession of the ball. And the Beacons had it and then turn it right back over. Turnover here for Russell. He knows what to do with it. 4 on the day already. He scores! The 5th goal of the day from Cameron Russell. And just like that, he scored half his team's goals, and he has Castleton even up again. It's 10-10 here in the fourth quarter. The Beacons had it. They'd forced the turnover on the play from Mosiri. Wilbur had a chance to clear it. His outlet pass was too high. The turnover left the ball waiting for Russell on a tee, and he knew what to do with it. His 5th goal of the day. And the one-man wrecking crew, really two men, joined by Siddell, has 8 of Castleton's 10 goals. Beacons off the ensuing face-off, trying to regain the lead. They had a chance to buoy their one-goal advantage with a man-up opportunity a minute ago, and instead were unable to take advantage of it, squandered it, and eventually turned it over, which led to the game-tying goal. And this is a team with a lot of freshmen, but more importantly, it's a team with a lot of freshmen who have not been in close games in the fourth quarter. Here's Girard. Girard, far side. What a pick. The long stick defenseman rising up, Jeremy Clements, and he comes away with it. Clements racing the other way, looking for help. He's trying to find somebody to distribute this ball to. Instead, he still has it. Clements all the way in, now finds some help in the form of Siddell, someone who is more adept to offensive opportunities. And just like that, Jeremy Clements, great effort made by number 4 in green, as he picked off that feed from Girard. And now a chance for Castleton to take their first lead since the first half. They led 7-5 in the first half of play. Beacons tied it at 7 right before halftime. And Castleton has not sniffed the lead since. They'll try to change that, but then they turn it over on a pass that missed the mark by Latinsky. It was intercepted by Chris Palin, and now with possession, here is Girard. And we are going to get a timeout. So with UMass Boston having possession, 9:27 to go in the fourth quarter of play. It's 10-10 Beacons and the Spartans. Tyler Lowe wants to discuss things with his club. We'll be right back here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Out of the timeout, Derek Caruso had possession at the timeout. It'll be Jack Riley. Ooh. No, instead he's going to watch as Fahey will take it. So Derek Fahey with possession. 10-10, 9:25 to go. Fahey, great fake to the right, coming all the way in, trying to go 5-hole, and again, Myron says no. Man, he protects that 5-hole better than most. And now motoring back the other way using his speed is Adnan Adosama. Behind the net with possession, Pardue. Pardue, far side, finds Siddell. Siddell already with 3 goals today. And now the man with 5, Russell, will hand it off to Clark. Clark has 1 goal. Spins through 2, takes the shot. Great save made by Dixon. As he says, anything Myron can do, I can do just as well, making the denial of the 5-hole with 8:30 to go. So here is Wilbur using that body to shield the stick, connecting with Palin. Chris Palin is able to find Claflin, who found Bickford. Bickford to the far side. As Lenfest will come back to the point here. Pitch and catch for Joe Myers. Myers fakes the left, comes to the right, behind the net now, and unable to receive the pass was Bickford, and eventually it comes back well behind the net, and coming all the way out of his crease is Myron to make the play. Myron launching it across the field. Dangerous play when he's so far out of his crease, but he was able to connect with Luke Essa. If that's intercepted, there's a gaping net waiting for him. But instead, he did just enough to get it all the way downfield and avoid that calamity. 7:40 to go, fourth quarter action. Still 10-10. The next goal may be the difference maker as Caruso gets double teamed. He's used to those hits. Unfortunately for the Spartans, the referee viewed it and deemed it illegal. And I think Kyle Latinsky is going to be the guilty midfielder, and he will be, as he'll head to the sin bin, and the Beacons will have the man-up opportunity. And it's a slashing call. So the Beacons tied up at 10, trying to regain the lead. They have not trailed here in the second half, and just like that, Lenfest unable to control the pass, and a turnover for UMass Boston. So coming out off the turnover, Adesama with it. He's going to be greeted there by Claflin. Goes right through a couple, including Lenfest, and now right past Riley. Adesama tried to do a little bit too much with it, lost possession, still loose, and now possession gained by Palin. Chris lofting that one deep, short hops Claflin, who's able to somehow get it in front of the defender, Clements. Claflin then goes down, and as he's falling down to the field, is able to find a man, and he is hurt. He went down, and that is not what you want to see, because it's a non-contact injury on turf, and you never know what to think, but definitely not what you want to see if you're Michael Claflin. The good news is he is able to meander over to the bench under his own power with a slight limp. So 6:40 to go, Claflin off. And Fahey on. Claflin still, I'm looking at the sideline, limping around. The trainer taking a look at him. He seems relatively okay. We'll see. But in the meantime, Beacon's tied up at 10, 6.5 to go. They know the next goal is critical. From the far side, great fake coming all the way in. Caruso, he gets hit. The save is made by Myron, and he covers up and gains possession. Clements and the Spartans trying to just get over midfield somehow, some way. Adesama maintains possession as he gets around the midfielders. Beautiful cradling skill from the midfielder for these visiting Spartans. And we are going to get a timeout for Castleton. 5:45 to go, fourth quarter action. It's still 10-10. It's been that way for a while. We'll see how long that trend continues. We'll be back right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Out of the timeout by the Spartans. Here's an opportunity for Castleton to take their first lead since half number 1. With possession, Russell, he's got 5 goals. He's the man you want with it. Sends it back behind the net. Lutinsky, far side. Around the horn they come. Siddell finds Clark. Clark, nice juke and a hesitation move. Finds the man in front. Russell, a shot, he scores! Cameron Russell, 6th of the day. And just like that, he's king for the day. It's 11-10 Castleton. Oh, doctor. Cameron Russell. What a performance. 6 goals. He came in with 13.
Castleton University goal scored by number 9, Cameron Russell, assisted by number 27, Colin Clark.
Colin Clark gets the assist. And the Beacons are absolutely dazzled again by Russell, who takes that shot right-handed, tumbling down to the turf. And yet here he is, leading his team to a 1-goal advantage. Still 5:15 to go. Face-off coming after the goal. Both teams jockeying, and the Beacons emerge with it. Mosiri, far side. Beacons trying to take advantage. Quick chance in front. Great save with the stick as Myron denies the man in front, Bickford. So Bickford had a chance. He had a cutter in front on a one-time opportunity. I believe that's Fahey who's in there for Claflin. And instead he took the shot, and a great save by Myron as this is getting very aggressive on the other side of the field. Lutinsky coming all the way in as he gets hit, and the Beacons are going to pay the price there. That shot whistles wide on the attempt from Siddell. But the Beacons see Jack Ranta, the freshman and brother of Robert. You think he's going to get called for a high hit here, cross-check perhaps. He definitely used his stick to deliver a blow towards the head of the attacker. And with 4:32 to go, the Beaks will be short. It is a cross-check on Ranta. That was as clear as day. So the Beacons shorthanded, 4:30 to go, trailing 11-10. In a season that has been filled with disappointment, this might be the top of the list if they end up going down. Still time to go, though. That shot just whistles wide. Russell thinks it went through the net. He thought he scored. He raised his hands toward the heavens, but the referees disagree. So possession will merely maintain in Castleton's hands, as here is the Spartans out of the stoppage. Russell looking for his 7th of the day. That one whistles wide. Boy, oh boy, they're going to continue pumping the tires of Russell here and attempting to give him an opportunity to get another goal. And with possession still in their grasp, another try. They score! This time it's Colin Clark, his 2nd of the day. And for the first time since the first half, a 2-goal advantage for the Spartans with less than 4 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter of play. In the end, the penalty to Ranta may have been the final death knell, though still with 4 minutes to go. Time for the Beacons. But in the second half, just 3 goals scored compared to 7 in the first. And overall, too many penalties and too many man-up opportunities to their opponents for the Beacons to give themselves an opportunity. So here we go, down by 2, 12-10. Keep in mind the Beacons led 10-8 in this quarter, and now I've given a 4 unanswered. Riley with it, and this young Beacons team facing adversity again. Gerard, who had a heck of a first half with 2 goals. Cutting towards the net, taking a tough angle shot, good save, right into the stick and the grasp of Myron. Here is Adesama and the Spartans leading by 2, 3 minutes to go, and they will be happy to eat some clock here. Beacons will be back at it on Saturday for a battle at UMass Dartmouth. Dartmouth, last time we checked, was down by 6 against Coast Guard. That would send Dartmouth to 1-2. The Beacons, with a loss here, would fall to 0-2. They would join Southern Maine as the only winless teams in the conference. Southern Maine lost 21-6 to Plymouth State, who remains undefeated in LEC play. Still 2.5 to go, just a 2-goal game. Beacons, though, need to get that 11th goal quickly. Fahey finds Caruso. Derek coming around the defense of Russell, who is clearly the MVP of the game. Riley, Lenfest, intercepted. Again, Clements picks off Lenfest. Myron looking like an attacker with that move to get around Fahey. And with 100 seconds to go, the Beacons' hopes dwindling with each second that elapses. 90 seconds left now. The Spartans with possession. Russell. A turnover desperately needed for UMass Boston. And that's not going to help as Russell draws a penalty. And after scoring 6 goals, he's still down on the field. That's the last thing you want to see. You got to stick up high. Right in front of the ref. And with 73 seconds to go, the Spartans are celebrating on their sideline, and for good reason. Perseverance has paid off for Castleton. They get 9 goals combined between Russell and Siddell, their 2 leading goal scorers coming in. And with a timeout called off the penalty, the Beacons see a 10-8 fourth quarter lead ultimately and likely result in defeat. It'll drop the Beacons to 1-9 and 0-2 in the Little East Conference. Castleton, meanwhile, rises to 3-7 and 1-2. All is not lost for the Beacons. They still do have 6 LEC games to go. Jack Riley is the guilty player. His day is done. A 2-minute penalty for an illegal check to the head. Jack Riley, of course, plays on the men's hockey team, and you can't check to the head in that either, but he certainly knows aggressive nature is ingrained in his blood, and unfortunately it got the best of him there. 12-10, we're out of the timeout. And if I am Coach McDougall, I'm keeping Russell out of the game no matter if he's healthy or not. It looks like they're doing just that. So Russell will finish most likely with 6 goals in what has been an eye-opening performance for number 9 in green, as we are under 1 minute to go here in the fourth quarter of play. With possession, motoring along is Tom Pardue. Pardue getting around the check of Ranta. Behind the net now for Latinsky. Latinsky got the bottom of his stick checked. That dislodged the ball. Trying to gain possession, unable to do so was Fournier. First chance to mention Jack Fournier's name, the senior. He has not played much today. Less than 30 seconds to go. Wyatt Pickrell with possession, getting around Chris Palin. They're just going to eat as much clock as they can. He then absorbs the check, goes down. They're going to call a push there on UMass Boston. And that's Cam Haletic who's guilty of it. And that is going to wrap this one up. So with 5 seconds to go, the Beacons led by 2 here in the fourth, and they fall in the end 12-10. The ball went out of bounds with 0.9 seconds, so they just have to retouch it up, restart it, and this one will come to a conclusion. The final score, Castleton wins it by the final of 12-10, and they improve to 3-7 as they celebrate around their netminder, the winning netminder, Brandon Myron, as the Beacons retreat to their half of the field to mourn the loss with Cam Dixon. Beaks lose it 12-10. We'll be back here on the BBN. Welcome back to the BBN. John Scooters. Beacons losing 12-10. As you see on your screen, the final stats. Beacons actually outshot Castleton 37-34, as it was Myron making 17 saves, Dixon 11. Beacons won the faceoffs 14-12. Colte doing a good job in that department. And the Beacons won the turnover battle 22-19. The big problem for UMass Boston today, the man-up opportunities. They took too many penalties. They did a great job shorthanded, killing off 9 of 11, but the problem is when you're shorthanded, you're not getting offensive chances, at least not good ones, and that was the death knell for the Beacons. Also, maybe the fact that the duo of Russell and Siddell scored 9 goals. Cameron Russell scoring 6 to raise his total to 19 on the year. Siddell scoring 3 to raise his team-leading total to 22. Let's take a look ahead. The Beacons now 1-9, 0-2 in the LEC. They'll get another chance at LEC opponents as they take on the Dartmouth Corsairs on Saturday at noon on the road. They'll be back home next Wednesday at a 7 p.m. start here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network against Salem State, and then followed by a couple of battles on the road against East Con and at home against New England College. I want to thank our Beacons Broadcasting crew, our producer Seth Arensky, our director Alyssa Fusial, on camera Katie Leffler, for everybody involved. And for you at home, I'm John Scooter. Good night, good luck, and good lacrosse.